Okay, I'm just checking out the mic, see if you guys can hear me. If you can, just leave a Y down in the comment section. Mic, see if you guys can hear me. If you can, just leave a. Let me know you can hear me. Thumbs up, yes, or thumbs no, down, no. Okay, we're gonna basically kick off. Hey, Jake, how you doing? Do you know that fear and uncertainty are primarily the root causes to the majority of challenges we have as traders? Now, I've been trading a long time. Basically, I've done all the studies for CMT. I am Dennis Wilborn, the AutoPilot trader, and my desire is to share with other traders what I've learned in the past 30 years that I've been trading. Some of you know that I provide a service called the AutoPilot Trading Service. I'm not here to talk about that per se. What I'm here to talk about is one of the missing ingredients with many traders is they miss a regular routine. And so I want to start a regular live stream where I'm going to go basically tell you how I handle the final hour of trading. Well, what's in it for you? I know that's important. And I want to let you know what we're going to be talking about. Is I'm going to be talking about, one, what the stock market's doing. Two, the stocks that I'm trading. I want to analyze that. Where do I need to make changes in the current positions that I have? Do I need to basically trim things down, or do I need to accelerate? It's been a fantastic 6 weeks of the market so far this year. So please ask questions. No topic is, well, there are some topics that'll be off limits, but if it's about trading, if it's about swing trading, you're in the right place. I want to share with you guys what I've learned from some of the best teachers that the world has to offer. So let's go ahead and kick off. Let's take a look at, I hope this will switch around on me. And again, this is the first time I basically done any of this, and I'm taking a look first at the NASDAQ. And we'll be looking here at the daily chart. And as you see, the NASDAQ fell from the sky like a turd from a tall cow yesterday, and we've got a big gap down. Now, anytime you have a gap like this, and I'll just show you the rest of the chart. There we go. See, that is the NASDAQ. And let me see if I can back that up a little bit. There we go. And again, looking for any questions that you may have, please just drop them in the chat box, and I'll answer those. So the NASDAQ has had one heck of a run since the beginning of the year, up very nicely. Why do I start with the NASDAQ, you may ask? The reason I start with the NASDAQ is very simple. The NASDAQ historically outperforms the S&P and the Russell and the Dow. I love to trade the leverage ETF on the NASDAQ, which is TQQQ. And I know that those of you who have joined us with AutoPilot Trading, that you like trading it too, and we've had some of our best winners with that. But what's going on with the NASDAQ? We've gapped down. That is basically a bearish type of indication. At the same time, though, I have to be looking at what's still in place. Well, this trend line that actually starts way back over here and down in this lower level and is still going up is still intact. The trend line, until that trend line is broken, basically the structure is still to the upside. What are we doing right now? Well, actually, we're just pulling back to the 20-day moving average. That's all this is. Now, I would have preferred it not to be a huge gap down. What was the reason for the gap down? The reason for the gap down was very simple. It was the CPI, the inflation came in a little bit more hot. That puts the scare into people. The Fed's not going to lower interest rates. and it goes on and on and on. It was a news-driven reaction, is what we're saying. So what's happening right now? Well, price actions are starting to move back up. Now, you may ask, well, why aren't you getting into this trade right now? Well, a couple of different reasons. One is I have negative divergence on my momentum indicators. And if you're joining us for the first time, I trade the momentum indicator I use is the TSI, True Strength Index. I find it to be uncanny. Well, it really does a great job of providing us a indication of when price actions are going to turn around. Whenever I make a new high, like I have here, and the TSI or the momentum indicator is not providing me a new high, it makes this latest move up very suspect. So what else is going on? My other momentum indicator I use is the market forecast. Now, these are all available, folks, over, in the Thinkorswim platform. That's what I trade. I know that some of our members have also uploaded to the Trading View, and that's one of the things I'm in the process of doing. I'm in the process of also learning how to use Trading View, because it has some really cool things with Trading View for doing simulation. So I'm watching that momentum. I'm also watching the momentum here over on the weekly chart. I'll slide over here really quick. And what's happening over here? On the weekly chart, this is kind of cool. I'm getting, and I recognize it's still Wednesday, and so the candlestick has not been completed. However, I'm getting what I would consider to be kind of a double top on my momentum indicator, which when that happens, we do get across to the downside. What happened the last time we got across to the downside? Well, we just have a nice little healthy pullback. What would be a healthy pullback on the NASDAQ? On NASDAQ, I'd see a healthy pullback 4 to 7% back down to the downside. And let's go ahead and jump over to one of the other entities that we're watching, which is, there we go. Which is the Russell, and I'll just use the IWM for that. Russell was looking so good from the aspect of it looks like it was going to come up here and take up this past high. It didn't happen. It fell from the sky because the small caps tend to not do so well when the interest rates are high and inflation is increasing. Why? Because as the interest rates increase, small cap companies have to pay more, and so pay more for the money that they've borrowed, and so it takes away from their bottom line, making them less profitable. However, we did come back and put in a new higher low, so I have to pay attention to that going forward, and I'll be waiting for a new setup on this. Let me activate that and just pull it down to where it needs to be now, and I'm going to go ahead and just take that as my new section. And on this this is one of the things I want to do during these sessions. If you have any questions about what I'm doing from a technical standpoint, please drop that in there. So say, hey, kid, yeah, that's absolutely right. Good to see the market leaders rallying. And so, again, I'll be looking at this because I love to trade on the Russell and the NASDAQ. TNA, not TNAS, silly. TNA, I like to trade that. That's a 3-time leveraged ETF to the upside. And also, I like to trade on the NASDAQ, TQQQ. So I'll be waiting for a setup. I don't have one yet. So let's talk about a couple of stocks that we're interested in. What stocks are you guys interested in? If you have a stock you want me to take a look at, please just drop it into the chat box, and also let us know how we're doing. Of course, I like likes. Give me some thumbs up. Give me some feedback. So, as I switch back over here, So like I said, I really think that the indexes are going to continue to strive to move higher. The NASDAQ will be the strongest for right now. IWM on the Russell is starting to come on. So those are where I'd be sitting looking for potential trades going into the next couple of weeks. Well, what next? You may ask, and that's a great question. What I like to do from there is I like to look at in my in my routine during the final hour of the day, because the final hour of the day for me is my golden hour. If you feel like you're getting hung up waiting, and also just you're just being sucked in by the by the watching the computer all day long, watching the screen, I encourage you, don't watch it during the day. Go in during the final hour. That's when the best decisions of the day are made. And again, I call that my money hour or my golden hour, because that's when you know a couple of things. One, you know that the candlesticks for the day have just about completed. Therefore, let's say I'm looking at a potential hammer. If I'm 15 or 20 minutes before the close and it still looks like a hammer, there's a good chance it's going to be closed as a hammer. So then I can plan a trade around that to actually potentially enter at the end of the day. Reto, you asked if you are out of TQQ and TNA, when do you go out, and why? Currently, I am out of those. I was stopped out on TNA this past week. No, I'm sorry. I'm long TQQ. And with our premium members on AutoPilot, we've got specific criteria. Right now, we've already taken 10% and 20% profit on TQQ, and we're letting our winners run on the rest of it. What does that mean? Well, letting our winners run, we want that to go on and hit 30, 40, 50%. So we do a trailing stop that gives it plenty of breathing space and breathing room. Yeah, Jake, I'll come back to Ryan. That's Ryanair, correct? I'll come right back to that in just a skosh. What I do, folks, is I go back down. Here's the open positions I currently have in my portfolio. I have CrowdStrike, ZS, Palo Alto Networks. I doubled up on Palo Alto Networks. One of the pieces is up 30%. The other open position is up 8.31. TQQ, as I said, up to 20.74. AXON, Power, and Learn. Or that's not Learn. That's LRN is one of. And so what I'll do is I will go and I'll just basically start running through those. Let me grab something I want to look at. There we go. Let me grab that back. And this is how quickly I do this. CrowdStrike, I know I'm in. Where's my stop loss? My stop loss is down here about 194-ish. I'm good. That's my trailing stop. I have a 12.5% trailing stop, trailing up beside this. I would like to add to my CrowdStrike position. I did not do it yesterday when it fell down to the 20, and I kicked myself in the butt for that. Let me tell you. So if you've ever kicked yourself in the butt because you missed a trade, don't worry. You are not alone. There we go. And so those of you who are watching, you can see, what are you seeing? Are you seeing the top of my? Ah, there we go. I'm sorry. I had my viewing screen off a little bit. So anyway, that's CrowdStrike. Anything I need to do to CrowdStrike right now? No. So then I quickly run over to my next entity, which is ZS. Now, ZS, I really want to get into ZS some more. If you had an opportunity and were trading with us, you could have nibbled right there off of the 20-day moving average, as we see. And that would have been an excellent place to jump on more of Z as it's continuing to move up. Note, I always take into consideration where's earnings. And here's a little bit of lesson you can take away for earnings. Here's the way I handle earnings. This is the what I learned from my mentor. Yeah, Stephen. Okay. Is that better, Steve? There you go. Yeah, this is a new feature on YouTube, and this particular only streams. Okay, cool. It only streams in the portrait, not the portrait, but the this side. So yeah, as long as the right side is visible. And Jake, I will come back to Ryan Air here shortly. But I want back to the situation with earnings. Earnings are coming up here on the, as you can see, the 29th. The way I treat earnings is if I'm in a position and it is profitable by 10% or more, and I have not already taken profits of 10 and 20%, what I will do is if I'm up 10%, and I've taken the profits at 10%, but not 20%, I will basically sell half of the position the day of earnings. The day of earnings. Now, if the earnings is before the market opens, it means the day before earnings. Then I will have a stop loss in place to cover me for the remainder. Why? The majority of the time, the majority of the time during earnings, price action after earnings will remain within a 10 plus or minus 10%, plus or minus 10%. So ZS looks fine right now. Again, I would love to get into more of ZS. And next one on the line is Palo Alto Networks. Palo Alto Networks. Palo Alto Networks also continuing up. Now I'm up Palo Alto Networks on the second position I open up. I'm up almost 10% now. And as you can see, I've got earnings coming up on the 20th. That is after the market closes. And so about 15 minutes before the market closes, I'll look to close that position, or I'll put a conditional order in that'll help me close that position. TQQ, we already talked about a little bit. I won't go there. AXON. Now, AXON is a perfect example. I'm up about 8.3%. So I'm not up quite 10% to take my initial profit target off the table, but I have earnings coming up on the 27th. Another little known fact is that when an entity is somewhere between 6 to 2 weeks before earnings, price action will tend to go into what's called a pre-earnings run, and will normally run somewhere between 5 and 10%. So if you're looking at a quick way to do a swing trade for 5 to 10% profit, that's a great way to do it. And start looking about, like I said, 6 to 2 weeks before earnings. So on AXON, we're in it. However, it's kind of a slow mover. It has not hit 10% yet. PRW, Quanta. Okay, Quanta is really looking nice, folks. Quanta, it basically just hit the 10%. No, it's up about 5% as we speak. And I'm looking for a breakout to hit the 10%. Earnings also coming up on that one, the 22nd. And then LRN, which is Stride. What's it doing? Okay, Stride. Really nice pattern there. This is very nice. Now, normally we're looking for a 2-3 day, or a 3 to 4 day move down for a flag. But occasionally, with really good, powerful stocks, you'll get a pull down like this. Now, do I have a bullish reversal signal here? What do you think? Are you familiar with candlesticks? And if you are, what bullish reversal signal might I have right here? Go ahead and lay a comment in to let me know what type of candlestick that is. Anybody? And so, hey, Barbara, how are you doing? Steve? Glad to see you guys made it. So what kind of candlestick is that? A doggy? Yeah, bull hammer. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's basically a bullish hammer. At the same time, it's a bullish hammer. Look at the small body. Now, today isn't quite over yet, but it will be soon. That is a small body, which would be considered a bullish harami also, a bullish harami. So that looks pretty dark. That's nice. Hit the wrong button. There we go. So that's what I like with LRN. And it also, if this does put in a lower low right here, today could be a really great entry. One of the things I evaluate on a potential entry, and our members on the premium service of AutoPilot Trading are, many of them that parallel trade with us are probably in this. But in this position, what I would be looking at is if I could get in about, just above the 8-day moving average, and how far is that new potential swing low? It's about 1.67%. What about this swing low over here? Well, that's 4.52, which works very nicely in that my catastrophic loss that I build into all my trades is no more than 5 to 6%. The majority of the time, on average, I hit about 3.5% on all when I get stopped out for a loss. So 3.5% overall my trades, which is darn good. And then let's see what we got here. We've got let's see, short cruiser. Looks like a bull flag for me. Yeah, exactly. That's what we've got going on here. And it's also, let me switch over here to the weekly chart. It's also forming a very strong horizontal flag here on the weekly chart. We see it across here, like there. And those are typically really strong, strong indications that if it breaks out the top, stand by, because the move up could be at least from that level or even going back to this low level here. And that's where the next target would be. And if that would put us up about $95 to $100 for this particular entity, which is darn good, Okay, so let's see what else is going on. Let's go ahead and take a look at, let's see, who else had stocks to look at? Jake, you had let's see, let me get rid of that. Okay. Jake, you want to look at RYAAY, Ryanair Holdings. Let's take a look at this. And if you want to, I can walk through exactly what I look at when I'm looking at a particular stock. Like if Jake was just coming to me and saying, okay, Dennis, hey, take a look at this stock. What do you think? Well, one, I want to know how strong this stock is fundamentally. And if that makes sense to you, then stand by. So technically, though, yeah, Jake, you got a really darn good, cup. I won't call that a handle per se because it wouldn't be but it is definitely a cup. Looks like it's trying to drive to the right to form a potential handle on the weekly chart. But if you're an IBD aficionado, you would be saying, "Oh, it's not it's a flawed cup because the right side is higher than the left side." So let's go. Okay, fine. But what's the good thing we see about this chart is one, as they're taking profits from this high, one, as long as we stay above the 50-day moving average there, here's the 200-day moving average here. What kind of, looks like this trades about, on average, about 392,000 shares, which is a little bit less than what I'd normally like to look at, Jake. I like 200, I like 500,000 shares or more. But again, back to the technical. Yeah, technicals look really good. We're coming back, getting a nice pullback. And Jake, why don't you tell me, where would you like to buy it? AWW, which stock are you talking about, friend? Oh, into any stocks. Well, one of the things you could do, and I'll show you that in just a little bit. If it's your first time, hey, check out my book over on the Amazon. It's called Trade Your Way to Freedom. It's really a great book, and it's got really great reviews, and it will walk you through how to get started. Yeah, between 8 and 20. Yeah, I like that, Jake. I might like it better in between, and again, we don't know if we're going to get here. I might like it better between the 20 and the 50, but it may not get down that low. So what's the other thing I want to be taking a look at? Well, if you say you want to be looking at the fundamentals, you're absolutely right. And here's the way I do that. I utilize the Investor Business Daily newspaper to go in, and I want to check on my stock checkup. And this will tell me lots of good stuff about this entity. And let's walk through this. Did I get that right? I did. Okay. Again, this was as if I had never seen, well, I've never seen the stock before. So the first thing that pops up, Jake, is that my composite rating is only at an 82. And you can see from our little, whoops, heavens, I guess it'd be better if I move it over here. There we go. So my little scientist buddy, as you can see, has a little not smiling exactly. But then I go over to, are people buying this stock? That's one of the other things I want to know. A minus. That's an accumulation distribution score. And anything that is above a B minus indicates that there's more buyers than sellers. What are some of the other things I want to know about this? Well, one, within its industry group, look, it's number 2, which is very good. And then I walk across, what's its EPS rating? Only at 26. That means its earnings per share is kind of crappy. Relative strength, 92. People are noticing the stocks. And so I get in kind of a mixed information here. Then I drop down, Jake, a little bit further. How's the industry group doing? Well, out of 197 industry groups, it ranks number 133. And you see it's gained a red dot on that. The reason it's gained a red dot is because you want to be looking, it depends, again, if you have information about Ryanair that nobody else has, and you know it has some big plans coming in the future, then you could jump on a potential trade to the upside. That's cool. At the same time, though, let's get rid of what happened. No, take me back. And let's see if we can come on down. Some of the other thing, revision downwards on its estimate of earnings. How else is it doing? I come down here a little bit further. What's my up-down ratio? My up-down ratio is actually 1.8, which is darn good. So like I said, it's a mixed bag a little bit here, Jake. Then how would I trade it? Well, a couple of different ways you could trade the entity. And what happened there? We don't want that. A couple of ways you could trade this entity is one, you of course could, we want to measure how far it is away where from my potential stops. So I grab that. And if you were to buy it right now, before it closed, the 50-day moving average is about 7.3% away. Now, if this is where we're going to bounce and not go any further down, the other thing I would be looking at is what's going on with the momentum. Right now, the momentum is pointing down, pointing down. The longer-term green line looks as if it wants to drop below this line right here, which is the 80 line. When that happens, let me get that up a little bit so you can see it. When that happens, what happens, what tends to happen? Well, you get a deeper pullback, as we see from over right here where it dropped down below that line, and we're dropped down here about that far. What I can do, Jake, are you in the position right now? There you go. You got it. Wait for the TSI to cross back. But I want to give you something a little bit special with today's, session. I want to let you see potentially where it might make sense for you to take action. And the way I do that is get rid of my pencil. The way I do that is I do the Fibonacci extension exercise. So if I had a symmetrical pullback to what happened last time that the market forecast dropped below the 80 line, that would basically be from here down to here, right? There's one. I raise it up to there, and if I had a symmetric pullback back down, it would be to the 128 level, or that's 127.61, or slightly above the 50-day moving average. That provides you a really great target to basically set in I wouldn't say set in a conditional order, Jake, but you could use those Fibonacci's to establish the levels where we would get a bounce. Does that make sense? Okay, you bought that, and you want to buy more. Yep, Short Cruiser. I love that name, Short Cruiser 69. Right on. That's the year I graduated from high school. It was a long time ago, but that's cool. This is Ryanair, Ryaay, Steve. And again, this is one of the Jake provided. So Jake, anybody else, any other stocks that I've missed from anybody? I am open to whatever stocks you want me to take a look at. Yeah, that's it. Any other stocks? Anyway, we'll leave the chat open. I love the comments. Yeah, Jake, that TSI cross is really important. And yeah, I mean, it may cross here, may not. You could, one of the other things you could do here, clearly, and this is something that Dr. Elder in Trading for a Living promotes, is he promotes taking your trade on the high of the low day, which is a really great system to follow. I do mine a little bit different with the AutoPilot Trading System, but it basically is still a pullback type of trade. Let me get rid of this real quick. So, hey Corey, that's a great question. Is that the ticker on it, FBTC? We'll take a look at that. It really hasn't been out long enough for me, but let's take a look at a couple of other crypto stocks that I do like to trade and that have done very well for us when we have been trading it. I want to basically do one last thing: activate, duplicate, remove. There we go. The other thing I will you can do, Jake, is just grab this, do a straight just fib from that high here till this low right here. And again, where's that projection pullback? Right there about 131. And again, the 68% or 38% retracement is down almost in the same location the other, just above that 50-day moving average. And as this price action drops, remember the 50-day moving average is going to continue to move up. So that's cool. Let's take a look at the Bitcoin FBTC. One of the things, if you join me for these, if you find that these live streams are beneficial, one, please let people know I want to do this every week. If there's anybody you would like to see me invite on as a guest to chat about it, or maybe it's you could come on and talk about the stocks you're trading. I'd love to do that. But like I said, all questions regarding trading are not off limits. They're in bounds. And if you ask a question about something I know nothing about, I won't try to blow smoke up your skirt and pretend like I know about it when I don't. My strength is I'm a really great stock picker and technical analysis. Those who've been trading with me for quite some time know that we almost have an uncanny ability to find out where to get in. So yeah, I'm very interested in the Bitcoin. And how does it, in fact, yeah, this is looking pretty good. It is way extended right now. And so I certainly wouldn't be getting in it right now and wait for a pullback, but I think it's a viable entity. And see, it's still so new. It hasn't even, I don't even have the volume indicated down here. It came open when, first of the year. That's when all the Bitcoin. So I like it. Do you trade, Corey? Do you trade with? Okay, the time frame on. Let me back this up a little bit. This trade, that right there, that is the daily chart. That's the daily chart. The weekly chart is here, and you can see it's only been open for 6 weeks. 6 weeks. But as promised, here are a couple of the stocks that I do like in this space. Coinbase, absolutely phenomenal. Came down to and came in and put in a low right here off the moving averages, and then is doing a real nice rebound. It has earnings coming up on, well, darn it, where are you at? There we go, on 215. And so the only way I would look at trading Coinbase right now is my pullbacks I use, folks, is I look towards pulling back into the 820-day moving average. Anything like this is extended, and recognize, and here's a little tip. You ready for a trader's tip? Is the moving average, oftentimes people say, well, I'm going to wait for the pullback to the moving average, which is a cool thing to say and do, but do you know what you mean when you say that? Note, like if I'm looking at trading, hello, Young, nice to see you. Barbara, looking forward to seeing you. Yeah, tomorrow night trading is going to be absolutely phenomenal. Project up your moving averages this way. Just do a little parallel line next to them. And then what that tells us is something very, very valuable. If I'm trying to make a trade off the moving average, well, tomorrow my 20-day moving average are going to be about here, about the 141 level. Right now, they're down at the 137 level. So in planning your trade, you can design your trade around where the moving average is going to be, not where it currently is, because that's one of the tripping points that a lot of traders make. So fantastic. So that's one of them, Coinbase. And the other one is that I like is Mara. Why do I like Mara? Look at that, son of a gun, go. Okay. I did a little bit of an option trade on Mara the last week, coming off of this low right here. Got into a nice little spread. I do options on my. I do simple options. I do directional options, and I do a couple of bullish or bearish spreads. But I do them where they're at or in the money, so I get the biggest bang for my buck. If you're interested in that kind of thing, drop me a note or drop a note down in the chat box saying that's totally cool. Well, thank you, man. Thank you, Corey. And casual golfers. I used to be a casual golfer a long time ago. Back when I used to play golf with Tiger Woods. Now, you think I'm joking when I say I used to play golf with Tiger Woods, but I'm not. When I was in the Navy down in Southern California at Naval Weapons Station Seal Beach, Tiger and his dad were members of and this is when he was 13 or 14 years old, but they were members of the same golf club that I was in Los Alamitos Naval Air Station golf course. And the kid was phenomenal, even at that age, and actually got to play, a couple of rounds with him. And one of the nicest young men I've ever met. If we could can his concentration and his ability to practice, if we could can his ability to practice and import that, just pour it into our heads so the way we could practice our trading, you would absolutely launch yourself into absolutely phenomenal trading. So I was a Marine Corps, good times. All right, hoorah. Short cruiser, that is an absolutely on the mark things to say. One of the things when people ask me about trading options, short cruiser, I stipulate, as I said, first get where you are profitable. Like on my system, I look to hit a 65% win-loss ratio and carry a profit to loss margin, profit to loss ratio. I want 3 to 1 or 4 to 1. However, when somebody comes and works with me, I basically, help, I almost insist that people paper trade for the first 30 days just to get the system down and then grow into trading. In other words, just because you have $50,000 doesn't mean you put $50,000 on one stock. You divide it out amongst it. And the first time you start trading, don't jump in with a full position. Do a quarter position. Because let me tell you, as soon as you put money in the line, your pucker factor is going to go up immensely. At least that's the way it was for me. And it went up so immensely that, the aspect that, I talk a lot about fear, uncertainty, and pain. That's a cycle that traders get into, especially new traders. So great, Corey. Okay, we talked you out of it. That's good. No. But new traders get into that cycle, and the thing about it is, it's almost like a death spiral. And I know when I was a fresh young trader, I got into one of those death spirals of just my emotions were totally blown out of control, and all that type of stuff. Blew up 2 accounts. And you know how hard it is to go to your spouse and say, honey, I'm sorry, but I just lost 6 figures. That will rip your guts out. But what I learned, that was my cost of admission. That was my cost of admission. Okay, let's go ahead. Mara, I really like it. It's far extended. It also has earnings coming up on the 29th, I believe, of the month. Yeah, 29th of the month. So I'm not doing anything with that. But I did jump on a option trade down here, and note how far from that candlestick right there, gap up, gap up. That sucker has run 69% in 6 days, guys. No, Steve, she did not. So anyway, and so that's, I find when we focus on a few entities that have the potential to run up largely for in a very quick order amount of time, that what that allows us to do is compound and grow wealth very quickly. Now, I'm not a Lamborghini kind of guy, right? And I'm not going to be flashing the plant. No, that's not me. Okay. I'm an old naval aviator. I used to fly jets off of carriers. And, and, there was a caution that went along with that. And also a respect for the process. So great question. How far are we away from the market close? We're about 45 minutes, 15 minutes away. Let's take a real quick look. Anyway, Mara is one of the ones I look at. And I do want to come back and look at some of the favorite stocks people have. And let's take a real quick look. First, I'll start with the Qs. And what's the question, Jake? Yeah. Again, Jake, I like the Qs. It's really okay. Why don't I buy right now? The reason I don't buy right now is because we're in a gap. That gap down is a level of resistance, and we're almost up in the middle of the gap. I like to see, and it might make sense though, to look at buying on a pullback towards the low of today. Let's switch over to TQQ really quick. TQQQ and see. Okay, if I wait for a pullback into the wick of today's candlestick, because what will oftentimes happen is you'll get something hit a high like up here, it runs up here, hits this high, but this is a strong level of resistance, and you're going to have a hard time getting through that. Then what it'll do is it will back off, and the momentum may flow a little bit to back off and gain momentum in here so it can burst through. That's the cool thing about the whole thing. Excellent. Corey, you got to maybe teach me how to trade Bitcoin and your Ethereum. Barbara, we have not been doing, I have not been announcing option trades with the premium. Why? The reason why is because I want people to be focused on being successful in trading the two pre-flight checklist. Now, I will do some coaching later on in the year, probably next month, about how you can, trade the options yourself based on the pre-flight checklist. But I really want people to focus on being successful with that. Because, hey, in our, last year, how did we do? We did 44% last year on our, non-option trades. 44%, and that matches, for the last 12 years, the AutoPilot Trading Service has beat the S&P and averaged 37% per year. So the other thing I like about Mara, folks, is that it has really great options. As I'm talking about options, and so, but no, that's what the plan is going forward for the year, Barbara. So yeah, TQQ, Jake. The other thing, the question I wanted to ask is, if we pull back in the midsection of the wick right there, and my uptrend line is here, how far? What's my stop loss? Yeah, that looks pretty darn good, as long as that stays in place. That looks pretty darn good. So, because I could put a stop loss in there about 55.03 or maybe 54.84. So that would be reasonable. And yeah, we may see that that type of order for our premium members to add back in. We'll treat that like our Palo Alto network. Send me some money, bro. Okay. Hey, we're doing our best to let you find your own, because you know what, Milky? I can't send you some money. But what I can do is I can show you some landmines not to step on, so then you can become the hero of your own story, or heroine, whichever you are. So anyway, that's cool. So let's go. So Jake, that's what I'd be doing there. Let's run over really quick and take a look at. Now, again, this is the first time I have done a session like this. How has it been worth your while? Have you learned a lot? I hope you have, and I hope you'll tune in again to watch us later, both on the YouTube channel Market Tech Talk. I put out some really good market videos over there. You can check us out at AutoPilot Trading. Get signed up for our new free newsletter, and then also check out this. There you go. That's my book, Trade Your Way to Freedom, Retire Sooner with More Money and Less Fear. It was written by myself with my son, Brandon, and forwarded by Mike Lamoth, who's a really excellent writer on the and trader. He and I are going to be is the exchange. Okay, cool. So, hey, let's take a look at these other stocks that I want to be looking at. Everybody's talking about the Magnificent Seven and this type of stuff. How's the Magnificent Seven doing? Would I trade them right now? And there's Apple. One of the reasons I would not trade Apple right now is because it is a slow mover. Yeah, it's a great company, but look at that. That's a move right there. It only went up 6.8% from the beginning of the year. Where's the beginning of the year? Is over here. How far did it go up? Well, it went up a whopping 9%. Well, I know we can do better. And by focusing on some of the leveraged ETFs that we do focus on, we get to do better. Trying to get that so you can see it on the right side, Steve. Amazon. Now, Amazon is, I actually like Amazon better than Apple. However, it's still, it will it continue to be a growth stock? Yeah, okay. It ran up 21% since the beginning of the year. So excellent move, because I'm looking for 20 to 25% per quarter, that they have the potential to move that much. It doesn't mean they always do. Google also looking pretty good, doing a nice little pullback into this little midsection here. So this could be a higher low. And if it breaks back above that level, that would be an awesome way to go. Remember, on all of these, earnings is behind them. Meta. Now, Meta is the one that's screaming. However, it gets up here, breaks out, and this then kind of just goes and does nothing. You're going, oh, crud. Meta is doing really crummy. It's building for something big, folks. And I'll switch over here and show you the weekly chart. You see how this doing this little dojis here? If you're familiar with my good friend and recently deceased Steve Bigelow, he calls this a doji sandwich. And what this means is you're getting a nice little spinning top type approach here. And oftentimes you get a little bit of a pullback and then an eruption to the upside. And the price move is typically equal to at least the prior candlestick or more. And so again, Meta is looking definitely stronger. And anytime you get a horizontal flag is stronger than a flag that slopes downward by a little bit. So let's see. And then Microsoft, that's Meta, Microsoft. Get back over here. Microsoft, similar type situation. NVDA, NVIDIA is just been a beast. I mean, it continues to be a beast. It has earnings coming up on the 21st, which is next week. How's it done since the beginning of the year? Well, just whipping in here from the low for the year up to the high. Okay, now that's what we're talking about for a great move. That's 57%, something we definitely want to be looking at. What about our friend Tesla? Right now, everybody loves, not everybody, but people love to hate on Tesla or hate on whomever. Um, and Tesla has actually in a consolidation formation, which has been different from the last few times it's come down and hit off of this descending channel. Notice the last time it hit, a 1 week bounced, 1 week bounced. This time we had a 1 week bounce, but now we're driving sideways. And so this has a couple of different meanings. One, it could mean that, I'm going to leave this over here for the weekly chart just a moment. If we fail here and it breaks down below the up downtrend line here, watch for Tesla to go to 152.37. 152.37 is simply a bad news story away for Tesla. Then breaks that. Where's the next likely place that it would stop? Is down in this support zone of 118 to 101 or almost 102. But wait, there's more. Switch over to the monthly chart. And again, these are projections based on technical analysis. The monthly chart, if 108, it fails at 108, can you believe that Tesla would potentially hit $64 again? Woo! Yeah, so yeah, let's take a look at that. On the which chart, Short Cruiser? On the daily or on the weekly? Or that's the monthly. Let me switch back to the weekly because you may, yeah, you're probably onto something right there. It could be. Yeah, I mean, it could be. I think it's close. Like the shoulders. You're seeing this and this and then this. Yeah, you could consider that an inverted head and shoulder. At the same time, I chose to depict it as a downtrending channel. So it would not surprise me to see Tesla rebound here and move up towards this level here. But it would probably be that level about right there at the 200-day moving average. Okay, friends, that just about wraps us up. If you have one other stock I'll take a look at, again, please. There we go. Yeah, see, I put the old in navy, in case you're wondering. I had a guy the other day. He left a comment on my YouTube channel, and he basically said, well, that's really nice, old man. Why don't you go and just take care of your grandkids? To which I told him to piss off. But that's just the way I am. That's the way, and so, the thing about it is Sir John Templeton traded stocks all the way until he was up in his 90s. And I'm going to continue to do my trading. I'm going to continue to step into new horizons and destinies so that I can help as many traders out there discover where they can go with their trading and how they can basically build wealth and move into a new legacy for them and their family. So if that interests you, follow us on the YouTube channel, and we'd love to see you over there. And remember, leave comments, leave some thumbs up and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, all the stuff that drives the algorithm. You know what those are. Anyway, Have a great rest of your day. And as we say here in Hawaii, aloha and God bless everybody. Thanks, Paul. See you, bud. Now, how do I turn the thing off? There we go.